All right, we're ready to roll. All right, welcome everybody to our first little interview we're doing on the Hemp Producers Association of Texas. I got with me today Rudy Montes, who is running the Texas Hemp Ventures here in Texas. I want him to tell me a little bit about the company, what it does here in Texas, where it's located, and we're going to unpack it because the hemp industry in Texas is very unique. It doesn't have the infrastructure set in place like many other agricultural crops have. So businesses have to modify their business structure in order to compete in this market. And so, Rudy, welcome. Glad to see you, old brother. He's a fellow vet, brother Grunt.
And, yeah, no veterans are better. What's up?
That's right. Why don't you go ahead and start on Texas Hemp Ventures? Tell me about it. Let's unpack this.
Sure. Good morning, Robert, and thank you for this opportunity to talk to you guys and with your followers and viewers out there. My name is Rudy Montes. I'm one of the co-owners of Texas Hemp Ventures. I do have three other partners, Jake Eckert, Kelly Lloyd, and Bo Woodcock. What we did is we actually formed a company based on the knowledge of different aspects of what we can pull together as from farming, from testing, from the business side of view to form this company, Texas Hemp Ventures. Texas Hemp Ventures is located in South Texas, and the reason we had decided to do this location is because the abundance of farmland that's around here. We are at a choke point for the international shipping here to Mexico as well. And we also, the company is, we have greenhouse, as you see to the back of us. We've got a nursery that we are in contract of already purchasing of 60 acres. We've got about almost, I'd say about 480,000 square feet of greenhouses that we have. We have our own water treatment facility. We have our own algae system that we're working on for the past 3 years down here for nutrients. We also have additional acreage on the side of us that comes with the property, and as well as a 40-acre lease lot that's across the street. And we are pretty much down here in the valley of Rio Grande Valley. So with that, we have the greenhouse. We also are having the Agronomy Center. The Agronomy Center is something that we kind of put together with some good friends, and Joe Tidwell's running that one. We're sponsored by Sterling Pacific, Aqua Yield. We're in contract to finalize with Trias AG, an irrigation group, and Reddick and Ferrari, possibly A1 Hemp Hawk. And what we're doing is that we're getting the center to where we can be able to have farmers that come in and say, hey, all right, I need some kind of nutrients. You know, it could either be the nutrients that we use on our hemp plants, or it's going to be nutrients that they use on their crops. They come in here, they purchase it, or we drop deliver those, or we actually do irrigation systems to where they have, if they might need a irrigation setup and a surface drip irrigation, a pivot, more of on the drip line, because a lot of it out here is flood. We offer that service to do the custom work. And as well as looking at implements, we actually have implements that we can either rent out or we can sell. And those are all going to be coming here in about a couple of months after we finalize contract. On that hand there, we also do an extraction where Bo Woodcock is bringing his system of IES. Where we're having two 200-liter CO2 machines that are coming down here. And we're also in good relations with HPP. HPP is a cleaning system for biomass. So with that, we can be able to clean the biomass for the farmers here to actually get it ready for shipping to, end buyers. And with our other partner, APCO Labs in Detroit, they've been doing this for a few years already in the marijuana side of it. And just last year, they got it to the hemp area. So we are going to be opening up our own testing facility down here at the end of the summertime. So a 30,000-foot overview of what we're kind of looking at here is we can be able to provide genetics. And we do have seeds as well. We have clones. We have a seed machine that we can pop the seeds. We have an agronomy center that we can be able to kind of, put you in the right direction for irrigation or nutrients or implements. The extraction and processing area, the cleaning area, and as well as the testing. We can white label if we need to, but that's just another entity that we have to look at doing. And we look at doing this to make sure that we can provide jobs and opportunities to the community down here in the valley, as well as veterans. Like we said, we're veterans. I like my brothers and sisters. I look forward to them coming out here because this is therapy for them. It's 420 every day for us.
I agree with that. One of the things I always loved when I had the farm in Maine was just be able to walk out into the garden and to be able to clear your mind in the morning and get ready for the next day. It's very therapeutic. I'll definitely agree
It
with
is.
that.
It is.
So with the farming that you have in Texas, Texas had to be certified, right? And you have to have a license. Have you guys already applied for a lot of the license here in Texas?
Yeah, we did all that already. Everything's all good. The one thing that we do have a problem that we had to make sure that we made our shared our voice on the TDA is that in the nursery area, when you have in certain areas, like right here, our mothers, when we do cuttings, they're going to move from one lot to another lot for like propagation, and then they got to go to another area. So they start growing those babies up, and then they go to another area for hardening. So when you ever start looking at a lot, what do you really kind of think about on the lot when you start looking at it? Because now if I'm doing it and I'm moving 4 different locations, and sometimes when these cultivars are moving from here to the propagation room or to the harden off area, well, so is the CBDs as well. So we're on different rotations, so it doesn't make sense to say, okay, I've got one lot here. Okay, so that means that you can't do everything in this one area. You got a setup of a propagation room. You have a hardening off area. You have your areas to listen for your babies. So they need to really identify what a lot is and to be able to help the grower make sure that it's simple. Don't get confused. Don't make it complicated. Make sure that they understand that, hey, look, there's a lot of moving parts within a grow operation.
Right, and I think that's one of the things that the council, when they brought them together to talk about, how to make these rules, one of the things that they were kind of missing was the movement of plants is vital because of mothers and vegetative processing, going from seed to vegetative to flower. You're moving them from one point to another, and each one will move into a different lot according to the way that the law is written. And I do think that that will probably change, because I remember reading that when I first saw it, and I thought to myself, wow, I don't think nobody really went to a farm and talked to somebody before writing these rules. Because that's the same thing with marijuana. I mean, it's grown in a lot of the same ways in the movements of the plants. Especially when you're trying to do a perpetual grow where you're be able to harvest an X amount of percentage of plants in greenhouses over a few years. Now, I have heard a few things that I wanted to ask you about this. I read somewhere one of the best places, they say the best place to grow is really outdoors, because you're going to get more bang for your buck for hemp. Do you see greenhouse growing becoming much more important in the CBD and the cannabinoid realm of hemp? And the reason why I'm asking that is for one specific reason. As industrial hemp fiber and seed starts to become more popular for row farmers to grow, for crops, for industrial, you're going to see cross-pollination. There's nothing you can do about it. All the lawsuits in the world. So do you think greenhouse grows will become more prominent in the next 5 years?
I think it will be, Robert. Looking at it is that, do you want quantity or do you want quality? That's going to be the key picture. And then it's going to be, what's your financial infrastructure going to be? Can you afford the greenhouses, or do you have your setup already to grow outside? The way I see it like now is I would like to be able to grow by Texas, for Texas, and you can see it in HEB. So when we start doing that, we want to be able to look at what's the quality. How can we be able to, contain certain pathogens that are be able to come in? I mean, you either inside a greenhouse or outside, you're still going to have bugs. You're still going to have things that are coming out here, but it all depends on what you want to do and what you can afford. People ask me, well, Rudy, how much does it cost to kind of get in? I let them know it's about $8,000 to $12,000 an acre outside. And that's going to be that's a big jump right there. It's like, well, that's from seeds to clones. So those make a big difference, because we know the prices on seeds or seedlings or clones, doing that. And then you have that capabilities. You already have the tractors and implements. You have the infrastructure to set it up. Even on the greenhouse, it could be a brand new greenhouse at 30 foot by 100, and that's going to run you $12,000 to $20,000. Well, that's an $8,000 difference. Well, you got to think, do you want them to fix it up for you? Because that's a labor charge for them, So you got to think about
all the electricity you have to run in the greenhouse.
Exactly, electricity. Then that doesn't even include the lights or the irrigation. Irrigation is not going to be so much, but you're running the lights now. For right here, as you can see, these lights, these are Home Depot lights. We've got a lot of light down over here. I just took off the shade cloth yesterday to harden up these mothers really good, and we're going to do this for about a week and just kind of see how it is. There's a lot of trial and error. And once you finalize and you pinpoint and you get a good standard operating procedures for either outdoor or indoor, you go with it. You don't make big changes. You make big changes, you're going to be off balance. You know, so you make small increment changes so you can be able to log it in. You know, you know what's going on. It's like every time the workers come in this morning, we look at what's the weather going to be at today. We log it in on the data logs. That way we have all that stuff there. What are we doing today? Are we feeding them? How much are we feeding them? Are we watering? How much we're watering? So a lot of that takes place to where you have to understand where it's going. If you're going to go inside or outside, we like quality. Now, quality is not going to be because we know that what's going to be in the market and what's going to be selling. For quality wise, you know, there's different ways. You know, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. And by doing this, what is your end value? What does that end buyer want? Does he want it by the abundance of a whole bunch of it? Or does he want good smokable or good, you know, isolate or distillate? We have to really kind of figure out where we're going to go. And by looking at the retailers or the end buyers, what do they want? We got it. Okay, we put them on the order. This is what they're going to get. The retailers come out here, they look and see what the plans are. We want them to come out here and see, this is what's going to be on your shelves in the future. For the farmers, this is what's going to be on in your grow areas in the future, you know? This is how we do it. And by doing it, we can be able to teach you how to do it if you go off our guidelines.
So that brings me to another question. You're looking for farmers because you're wanting to build more acreage. So obviously you're not want to get any Tom, Dick, or Sally just to come up there and say, hey, I want to grow hemp. It's not as easy as it looks to grow. One of the things that most people don't understand is that growing 4 or 5 plants is one thing. Growing a greenhouse and 2 or 3 greenhouses full of plants is a whole other option. It's a whole other thing. And so normally I tell people, if you haven't been a farmer beforehand, this probably isn't the one you want to jump into in hemp. You may want to have some kind of experience beforehand with growing tomatoes and cucumbers and getting your hands in dirt.
Yeah,
what specifically are you looking for when it comes to farmers who want to get a part of your program?
Okay, say that again.
What qualities are you looking for that for farmers who want to be a part of your program?
You know, we have a lot better luck with veggie growers. You know, people that have been doing vegetables, they just really know how to, you know, provide that plant with what needs to happen. You know, because you get one that's growing corn or sugar canes. I mean, they're going to roll it out there. They'll check it once in a while. Hemp, you got to check that thing every day, you know, and it's multiple times that you got to do that, because you never know when you start looking at mold or it's a spider mites that are coming up or aphids, you know, so you really got to be constant with it. And in an indoor area like this, you know, people are saying that a lot of times you get to a greenhouse, it's a bug trap, you know, you'll have bugs that'll come in here and then they go to the top and they stay up there. You really got to watch out how you dropping your curtains and, you know, your fan. Like right now we just installed the fans, but we're going to be putting in more gables, you know, so they can be able to have that circulation of that vortex of that. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of times when you think about, you know, doing this, you really got to think about who can be able to help you by doing cuts or trimmings. We have one guy that we're doing in Wisconsin, you know. A lot of the labor workers, cheap labor workers, they travel different distance, and what they do is they come back home because now they're quarantined, but now, you know, they're here because they have the experience of doing this hemp in a different state. So they come back in here, we teach them techniques of the trade there, and they're right back into what they did before. So veggie growers is good. Hell, I mean, we do a lot of OJT, you know, and in the military, we do the on-the-job training where they might even be better than somebody that has already been doing it before, but they might be faster and they learn a lot more. So we get that opportunity or that chance to those type of people.
I like that. I think that's a good point. But when you're looking for people to add acreage to your to the company, you're looking for people who are mostly going to be vegetable growers. And that's a good point. People don't understand that you need to check these things every single day. So when someone says I got 40 acres of hemp, first thing goes through my mind is that's a lot of walking.
That's a lot of things. I mean, we're looking at we push in every time we feed in these over 700 mother plants. We're doing I believe we counted last time it was about over 700 gallons of water, you know, on just one, you know, water, and we got 4 zones that we're running right there. So we always tell people, go low and slow, learn from it, you know, and you know, and then here's another question, Robert, that they look at. They get to the point, it's like, all right, well, who's going to be able to buy it? You know, well, we always tell them, it's like, well, how good can you be able to grow it? I mean, We can sell you the genetics. Boom, you can be on your own, or we can get you in contract. We can actually help you do that. But you fight Mother Nature every day. You know, it's a constant battle to adapt to whether she's going to change the climate for you or not. But as far as, you know, wanting to be where, you know, having that good quality grow, we won't know that until we start seeing the progress of your techniques and your methods of how you're doing it and how you're applying our SOPs with it.
Correct. And I know that's one of a big issues that people tend to think, well, I got good genetics, why am I not producing good oil? And how do you do that when you have some people that are growing for you and they test their products? They bring the testing to you, or are you a certified tester for the state, or do they bring the testing? Do they have to bring it to a third party lab? I think it's a third party lab.
Yeah, third party lab. Yeah,
right.
what we do is well, they're going to be able to grow as far as, you know, being Texas is very new. What we did in the past in Colorado and North Carolina is that when we take our test, we start looking at the flowering stage where now we start testing every 7 days, you know. And when we do that, it gives us feedback, it gives the farmer feedback, and it gives, you know, where we can have something where we track it all the time of what was going on at that time during the weather. And we can see the progress of where they're going to be hitting their marks and where they got to be going for that. So by doing that, we send it off to, you know, the lab that we are associated with, and they give us that feedback, you know, 48, 72 hours back, so that way we can get that back to the farmers. But we do that when we have farmers that are on contract, and we can go out there, we test it, you know, and once we test it, we provide them for their information as well as ours, so that way we have something we work with the farmers back and forth.
I got you. So here's another question too. The flowers have been harvested, right? And so do you dry them? They should be dried at the location of the harvesting, right? Or they should then to be dried, cured somewhere else. Because I mean,
well, that's the thing, you know, looking at the farmer, does he have the infrastructure to do that? Then I got to go there and look at it and say, okay, well, it's a barn and there's dirt on the farm. And now you're thinking, okay, these things are going to be consumed. You know, these things are going to be in your body right here. Do you really want, you know, somebody walking through there's dirt? You know, so we have it in areas where, look, there's different techniques of doing that. You know, we have done it in grain silos where we hit the ventilation and we just let it, you know, we let it set for a while. And the other ones we put it inside buildings where we hang it. Depending on what your end product is, depending on where you can be able to do that at, we either pick it up and we bring it back over here for our drying purposes, or we ship it out to somewhere that we can be able to dry it out. Now, knowing that how Texas laws on, especially like smokable flour and everything, which is, I think it's a lot of BS, you know, but
I do too.
You know, when we start doing this, we got to get to the point where it's going to go afterwards. Plus, again, where's the market going to be? Is smokable going to be always on the top where we see quite a bit of it of the sales? And then if it is, we have to grow it to that specific need of what we're going to do it and how we're going to go ahead and harvest it. Are we doing a mechanical harvest? Nothing on a mechanical harvest, but looking at a mechanical harvest is that's more on the quantity and quality issue there. What we're doing on quantity wise is because we can be able to knock out acreage, you know, quite a bit of it. On quality, we had 50 acres we did up there in back over there in Bose area, and that's all hand harvest. You know, you're talking 20 to 30 guys knocking out, you know, 3 to 5 acres a day, you know, going out there and really kind of making sure that they don't lay it in the ground. They put it into a container. We move it back to an area. You know, we chuck it out there and make sure that it's all good to go, and then we start hanging it. You know.
Yep, and that's a lot of work.
It is.
That's a lot of work. I remember we had 60 plants, and we were able to knock down. I was there for enough to get that first 4 or 5, maybe 6 of them, and just doing that, you know, 3 or 4 guys, small little snips, hanging it. It's a lot of work, and people don't really realize that. So now I've gotten all my stuff harvested. It's hanged. Luckily, I was a guy who had a barn that I refurbished and made it into a curing room, which saved me money because now I'm not paying for somebody to go else to ship it. So now I have it, it's cured, it's dried, and I'm going to package it, and I'm going to send it to where?
So when I look at sending it to an area, we look at it and say, okay, if somebody's already wanting to buy it, it's already on pre-order, then we actually going to be able to make coordinations with that to be shipped out. Or we have it here, which we can be able to white label. Again, that's another area where we can be able to put it all here. Of course, it's got to go out, you know, to an area outside the state. it does its thing, and then it comes back in there, and they can be able to sell it. For us, we want to make sure that before they even put seeds in the ground or they put the phones in the ground, where is it going to go after that? When you start looking at the buyers, we start looking at escrow, but buyers change all the dang time. They think that they're going to, they start off as a broker, and now they're going to be in extraction because they got the money and they start doing that. And it's like, all right, well, now we were going to pay you this much, but we're not going to pay you this much now because we're doing this right now. And that takes up, half of what we're losing, and we can be able to make that up, but they don't even know what they're doing, and nothing to be confused out of it. But I think that by finding a buyer that's going to be great for your application, it's going to be key, and then that we can be able to trust them. And those buyers are like the holy grail. Nobody really wants to know, what's their name, because next thing you know, if Robert goes in there and starts doing it, and he grows it better than I do, then they'll be like, well, now we're good, Rudy, and Robert's already has that contract picking up. You got to really kind of watch out for that. And
so that's one of the crazy things in this industry is that there's not enough buyers versus the amount of producers right now. Yeah. And those buyers are basically processors. Now, when you talk about you're in the cannabinoid industry of hemp. For fiber and grain industry, one of the key things that's very important there is that logistics, you want to be within 75 square miles of your processing plant, because logistics is paid for by the farmer, and they're only making about $300 a crop in profit for fiber and grain, which is not really a lot. But like I said, these are two separate markets. I say cannabinoid growing, industrial farming market, they're separate, maybe the same plant, very separate. The way that they're structured, the way that they're put together, the way that they are formed, how businesses work are very different for the cannabinoid business. But one of the things that I find similar is the fact that the location of the farm versus the location of the processing plant they're using. And I think we're going to get to that point when more processing places start opening up. You start using local processors. Why? Because it cuts down on agricultural shipping, and that's a lot of weight to ship, because most of it's really, even if you cure it and dry it to the point where it's 100% or you got majority of the moisture out of it, it's still a lot of weight.
Yep.
So
you're right.
That is an issue too. Do you think more processing plants opening up will help? Will definitely help more farmers. You'll start seeing more processing done by local farmers.
Yeah, you'll start seeing that more and more as it gets along. Farmers are going to be like, well, why do I pay? Say, for instance, going back to the cannabinoid side, on the East Coast, they're charging anywhere between $5 and $10 a pound, to dry it. That's pretty high, looking at that, but that's an area, it's just a building, and you can rotate it in and out. You have an area where people coming in for a dryer for Billy Bob, they're coming in and you cure it for so long. Here comes some more that's coming in. On the industrial side, when we start looking at the processing, people are going to start getting into it. Well, I can do this myself because now they made a little bit of money. They can be able to buy their implements instead of renting from us. They're going to be able to cut off their own genetics right there. So they're going to clone themselves. So as how the clones is what we want to try to do is make sure that we're always on the forefront looking at the newer cannabinoids that are coming out for that. On the industrial side, we always kind of keep it, or even on the cannabinoid, we keep it about 150 miles radius, no more than about 2 hours if possible, 2.5 hours before mold starts setting in. So what we try to do is we get into an area, we're looking at routes, keeping away from like I-35, where it's traffic, there's accidents. Next thing you know, you have an area where you're actually traveling somewhere. Now you're in an accident and then you're stuck. So we try to make sure that we have different routes looking at that. For the industrial side, you're right. This is an industrial hemp, and then there's the cannabinoid. It's a total different monster there. Same plant, but looking at it to where how you grow it's different. We look at a broadcast of about 400,000 seeds an acre, where it looks like a whole bunch of bamboo, 14 to 18 feet tall. Going for fiber, looking at the grain. Then you got to figure out, okay, well, what's going to be the cost for the farmers on the East Coast? What they're doing right now, they're putting 10 cents a pound for the industrial side. So you're looking at, if they're pulling what they did before, 2,000 to 4,000 an acre, that's about $200 to $400 an acre that the farmer's making right there. They grow it, they come out there, they go ahead and harvest it, and then they get it sold and it's gone. Now we're looking at what do we do with that? Where is it going to go? We got hemp wood out of Kentucky. You got other things that are opening up, but there's not enough of those companies that are opening up that will be able to let us, push through there. We are looking into the industrial side of it, of course, because when you're in the big acres, like here in the valley, we got thousands and thousands of acres, and these guys are used to corn. They're used to sugar canes. They're used to a lot of these big operations here that they can't do cannabinoids. So they look at something that's going to be different.
Right. I was reading up on this when I first got involved with hemp. I became fascinated with industrial hemp, and it's kind of what I really found out fascinating about it is that you can switch over from corn to industrial hemp relatively easy if you're a corn grower. You can actually put a rotation of hemp inside your corn. The Rodale Institute's doing some studies on this right now. They're showing that there is a return when you plant corn and you do a rotation of hemp in there, and corn goes back to the same spot a few years later. They're seeing an increase in their yield, and that's a good positive thing. We don't know. It'll take years for us to really understand that, but one of the things that is possible is that farmers could be implementing hemp into their corn fields and wheat fields as a way to boost their return on that wheat and on that corn. And so a lot of things that the corn growers are doing is they're doing minor fixes to their equipment in order for harvesting for fibers and grain. And I think that I like to hear that because it shows that there's a need for it. And building the infrastructure around that need is what's so vital right now. And that's a lot of things that we're missing in this industry, both on the cannabinoid side and on the industrial hemp side. And that's what kind of surrounds what we were talking about. The infrastructure really needs to be in place because we don't want to ship hundreds of miles material. We want to keep
or international,
100
to China or something like that, to where why can't we do it ourselves?
Correct. And it's going to take time to get there. We want to make sure that we see. So slow and steady is definitely the best way to go. And I couldn't agree with you more than that.
And I want to add to that, Robert, looking at even when, people have already been doing it out of state. So they kind of already see, some of them already built the infrastructure for that. Right. And for us, we are very conservative to a point, as human beings, is that we can't change and risk millions and millions of dollars. I'm going to do this, I'm going to be the person who's doing it. But it could fail. So a lot of times they'll follow somebody else, they'll follow something that's going on. And then there's a lot of test trials. We looked at, okay, if we start looking at this and it's being down here, how can we be able to set up the infrastructure for it, where it's going to go? We are looking at, the decortication machines, and there's some of them that are out there right now. We've got work with certain companies that they're making ones, that hasn't been produced or published yet. But, we want to make sure that, okay, what can you be able to handle out here? If you're growing industrial hemp year round, or if you're integrating it with another crop rotation, we have to kind of accommodate of how much is going to be coming in and then where is it going to go? If it's going for fiber, if it's going for grain, who's going to be able to buy that and what are they going to be applying it for? We started looking at, we found a decortication machine that's down here. It's an old dinosaur, but we can't trust the old dinosaurs right there. Newer technology. We want that thing to run constantly all the time. If you're going over there, you're running on a dinosaur, it's like an old Chinook helicopter or a HIP, where it's leaking, but it does real good. We can't really kind of go that route. We want to make sure that we go with a newer technology, what it can handle. And with the industrial side of it, we want to make sure that the infrastructure is set up here in Texas. If we don't get the infrastructure here in Texas, then it's just going to go out of state and we lose out on ourselves as Texans.
Yeah, billions of dollars. We lose out on billions. One of the things about decortication is that you have to do a large amount. The machine needs to do a large amount for it to be worth anything. And if you're going to compete on an industrial level with everything else that's out there, whether it's going to be corn or wheat or what are other plant products out there, the first process in getting there is decortication. Now, once it's redded and it's in the field and it's been you scooped it up and you baled it, you can send stuff like that for fuel, for press board and things of that nature. It doesn't have to be decorticated yet. But one of the things in the decortication of the processing facilities for a lot of this is for the industrial hemp is that there's stages. You can decorticate it, then you have to clean it, and every end product kind of requires a different type of raw hemp.
Sure.
And so we're still, you know, you have to have businesses and machines that can process these different types to get it out to the markets, because the markets want to use it, but they don't have it in the proper format. And for example of
Sure.
that is that paper is a great example. Hemp paper is neat. It's really cool, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't sell well because it doesn't look like wood paper. And to
Yeah.
the average consumer, that's what they want to see. And
Sure.
when it comes to industrial size, you know, farming, and people want to say they want to save the world, well, you're going to have to do it at an industrial level to do that. And that means you have to meet those criteria. Wood has had 80 years of technology because it's never been illegal. Hemp
Sure.
hasn't had that. So there's going to be a curve in the technology for bringing hemp up to the same status as a lot of these other plant materials. So we really do want to have universities in the state helping with the foundation of this industry. But the question is, you know, how do we do that? And I think the way that Texas Hemp Ventures is set up helps mitigate a lot of that lack of infrastructure.
Yeah. Yeah. I just had, it's funny because, you know, when you start getting in, and I'm really, nothing to throw off subject, we'll get back to the industrial hemp. I'm going to show you what a Mexican fly looks like. This is a Mexican fly. These ones can do a lot of, can you see that, Robert? Let's see, right. That's a Mexican fly over here. These can do a lot of damage on plants over here, and you don't see those up there in Dallas. You see them closer here to the border.
Oh, do you?
Industrial, yeah. When you start looking at that, it's just that we want to make sure that we have that capability. It's just we wish that we have Texas money to open up these type of things that are going on. We start looking at, okay, we found the machines and we found the chemists that we can be able to press boards, and we can bind them with plastic. We got so much plastic that's around here that's just trash everywhere. We can break those down into plastic beads. We bind them together with the hemp. Now we're making exterior boards for houses. You know, we can be able to have that technology down here for Texas Hemp Ventures. What we try to do is that we have an area, like I said, that we want to work with. We have a port that we're actually working with right now to do large shipments for grains or fibers that can go on barges. And this area here can just go right out to the mouth of the Gulf, and it can go up to the Mississippi River, or it can go down to Mexico or Colombia. It's actually stationed right next to a railhead that they own too. So the railhead coming in, so if there's a certain company up in the North Texas that needs to be able to have it shipped out, they can come here. If they go through the Houston area, you got all that security measures, you know. You still got to go, and it has to be weighted here. This one right here, it can go out, we get it shipped, and it's a done deal. They've been doing it for a long time, so that's a good thing about here in Texas. We have different capabilities to ship it out and transport it.
Well, outstanding. I tell you what, man, it's been good having you on. I don't want to go too long, because if we go too long, we can probably talk forever. But I don't know how I don't know how much everybody would stay on for forever. But I appreciate you coming on. I think Texas Hemp Ventures is going to be a good thing down south, especially for the new farmers out there who are just now getting their license and they need a place to grow. You know, that's going to be very vital. Let us know if you got a website. We're going to post the website. We're going to post phone numbers. So make sure you send me a phone number that you want to send out for people to call.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to send out your personal one.
Sure, no problem. And then looking at just to end it up is that what we're trying to do here in the future, and I had mentioned this before.
Oh yeah.
We'd like to get the community involved by looking at high schools. We want to be able to say, okay, if there's there's a certain amount of high schools that are out here. We look at the seniors of the FFA, 10 people out of there, guy or girl, and what we want to do is we have acreage here, so they're going to be getting an acre lot. We provide the genetics; they just got to grow it, and then we're going to go more of like a hemp bowl. So those ones that grow the best quality of hemp, we're able to give a scholarship money to those 10 people, so that way they can kind of help them out where they're going to be going at, and we can do that every year. As well as we've been getting on with Border Patrol because we are past the checkpoint. So if I had to go to Corpus from here, I got to go through a checkpoint. Some of these people don't understand what hemp is, and they look at it, dogs go crazy. Next thing you know that there's a problem at a checkpoint. So we want to make sure that we educate them as well as the regular community that's kind of going on over here. And by doing that is that we want to be able to, like veterans, BFW, American Legion, those guys, we'll bring them over here And I like to be able to have them to where they come over here, we have them doing some trimming, they're around this area, and it's something that can get out of the house, mentally clear their mind, you know, and say, hey, you know what, cool, brothers and sisters, thank you very much, you know, for letting us have the opportunity to come out here and it's be able to provide that good fight, you know, for our brothers and sisters like that. And as a veteran to another veteran, you know, we salute you from Texas Hemp Ventures, Robert Head, and your organizations. And I know you have even Blue Cord Farms and, you know, the organization, Texas Hemp Producers
Association of Texas.
Yep. Yep. And you guys, I appreciate that. And your fight over there, if you guys need anything, you guys want to coordinate anybody else that wants to come down here, please let us know. And after this, I can give you the phone number, the website, any kind of emails. Right now, we are slammed with over 700 CBG mothers, 2,000 CBDs, you know, that we have people coming in and out, trying to work and trying to get everything ready. And this weather is kicking some butt down here.
Yeah, you guys have been getting some crazy rain and then some, at least over in Houston, that's what I've been hearing. They've been getting some rain and crazy shit over there. It's the weather up here.
It's going to be 98 today right now. It's going to be 98, you know, and it's hot.
Yeah. Welcome to Texas. All right. So what is it? The one last thing. What are you looking for from everybody out there? You're needing farmers, you're needing processors. What are some of the things you're looking at needing?
We like to identify other drying, extraction, processing facilities that we can be able to work with out there. We like to be able to guide farmers to make sure that they know what they're doing or what they're getting into before they start planting, so that they understand, you know, all the obstacles they're going to be going through. And of course, we're looking for farmers, you know, because we can ramp up doing 10 to 15,000 clones a day, you know, and we can ramp up a lot more than that if we need to, but we're actually averaging anywhere between 10 to 15,000 clones that we can produce for farmers, and we can ship anywhere in Texas or even outside of the state of Texas to Oklahoma, New Mexico, Louisiana, whatever it needs to be. Of course, it takes us a couple of weeks because we start clipping and they got to harden off. They got to get acclimated to that weather here. And this is brutal weather down here, you know, but yeah, farmers, that's what we're looking for. We got a fire sale going on right now. Our CBGs are from $4.50 down to $3.50, and our CBDs are from $3 to $2. We have Bluff City as a CBG that's on the list. We have Catch Meow and White and Cherry Uno that's on the list as well. All these approved genetics and CDA. And we're ready to rock and roll and support our farmers. And the biggest thing for what I want to say is support your local farmers. Support your local retailers. I like to be able to try to see products that are going to be out there from Texas for Texas.
That's right. And if you're in this quarantine time, like all of us, and try your hand out, man. Throw a couple of pots out there, throw some tomatoes out there, throw some cucumbers out there. See what happens, you know? That's how you learn. It's just getting out there. Some people got a better knack for it than others.
Roger that. Yep, I hear you.
All right, brother. Well, hey, man, it was good talking to you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you for all you do. Again, we salute you and your staff, and be safe in this quarantine stage here, and keep hemping.
All right.